On behalf of my team and co-authors, Dr. David Durin, Dr. Robert King, Dr. James Traylor, and Mr. Mark Goberman, this is Myrene Agustin Magabo presenting to you Communicating Equality Through Equity, a student perception study. The points of discussion to be covered include the abstract introduction, all about the study, from significance of the study, literature review, theoretical underpinnings, methods and design, purpose, problem statement, and research questions, and finally the findings, conclusion, implications, and recommendations, and then the references. Let's begin with the abstract. So briefly, the integration of artificial intelligence, or AI, into classroom settings raises profound questions about creativity, purposeful design, and the preservation of human values. The challenge lies in ensuring that AI technology, while advancing learning, remains centered on equity and human experience. Equity is the foundation for equality in learning. True equality in classroom learning, whether in person or virtual, depends fundamentally on the effective presence of equity. Now for the introduction. It's been found, based on literature review and as cited by various authors, that there are more study on the use of AI in higher education, more on the student engagement and learning outcomes, but less on student perceptions. Thus, this study explores students' perception and focuses on higher education students on their perceived equitability and barriers to generative AI. The study also explores student familiarity with AI tools, their perspectives on ease of use, access, satisfaction, and the usefulness of AI on learning. The central premise guiding this study is that students' subjective communication can be meaningfully examined through qualitative analysis. As such, equality within this context is assessed based on students' perception of their access to AI tools. This study argues that equality is most effectively recognized and conveyed to learners when equitable access to resources is ensured, highlighting the importance of addressing perceived barriers to technology in educational settings. The next slides will be all about the study. The significance of the study. The outcomes of this study can provide identification of learners' perceived risk on AI use, since AI has the potential to create unfair advantages if not used appropriately by students and faculty. Insights from this study can guide in enhancing equity in AI use and in creating strategies that ensure learners benefit from the technology equally and eliminate or reduce any perceived barriers by learners. A better understanding of student perceptions on equitable access to generative AI may guide faculty and teaching institutions in developing instructional designs and learning engagement activities that improve student learning outcomes and prepare them well for their careers. We have explored various works of authors for our literature review. And it's been found that there remains a gap in understanding how students perceive equitable access to AI, particularly in online learning environments. Since most literature were focused on examining the use of AI in higher education for student engagement and learning outcomes, and less on student perception. Many authors highlighted the potential of AI in reducing equity issues in education. Their research focused on human computer tutoring systems integrated with AI tutoring tools, demonstrating promising results in personalizing learning to address students' motivational and cognitive needs. This approach was shown to narrow math achievement gaps among marginalized students, suggesting that AI can be a powerful tool for promoting equity in educational outcomes. Although the integration of AI in educational settings has been the subject of several studies, little research has directly explored students' perception on the use of generative AI. Generative AI, unlike earlier neural networks or pattern finding, machine learning or predictive AI, or even deep learning, deliberative AI, involves the unique creation of new content that mimics human ingenuity and creativity. For example, the chat GPT, and is thus the primary form of AI in this study. For our theoretical underpinnings and conceptual framework, we use key theories related to perception and equality as identified by Watts in 2022. Equity theory by John Stacy Adams supports the premise of our study as it asserts that equity represents the most effective means of achieving equality. Then the perception of an equity theory states that the more significant the perceived inequity, the greater the distress individuals may experience. Finally, the equality in social theory, which is centered on the principle that all individuals should have the same rights, responsibilities, and opportunities, a concept which is fundamental in promoting equality in society. For our methods and design, we use a qualitative case study. We administered SurveyMonkey with a total of qualitative questions and 7 demographic questions among higher education students. The population was 416. The data gathered was systematically tabulated and analyzed using qualitative methods. An interpretive analysis was used on subjective communications provided by participants, with an emphasis on identifying themes and patterns in their perceptions of equitable access to AI tools. As to the rationale of this study, since AI has the potential to create unfair advantages if not used appropriately by students and faculty, it is critical to identify and address these risks to promote productive learning outcomes. Equity in AI use must be ensured for learners to benefit from the technology equally and eliminate or reduce any perceived barriers by learners. A better understanding of student perceptions of equitable access to generative AI can help faculty and teaching institutions in ways they engage all students for enhancing their career readiness. Valuable insights are gained from this study that affirm equality exists and disparity is lessened in the use of generative AI for learning. Our problem statement. There is a need to find out if there is equitable access to various forms of generative AI from the student's perspective. This is to ensure equal opportunities for learning and development of career relevant skills. Very few studies have explored student perceptions on equitability, which is relevant to a sense of equality among learners. There is a need to identify perceived ethical risks and barriers that may affect the relational dynamics of the instructional process. We have 4 research questions. 1. What makes a generative AI accessible from online learners' perspective? 2. How accessible is generative AI to online learners with disabilities? 3. What are the perceptions on adequate access to generative AI that enhance learning and career preparedness? 4. How familiar are online learners with generative AI? We will now go over the findings of the study. Slides 13 to 25. As to the statement, AI has improved my capability to learn, 58.8% of the respondents agree or strongly agree. Most respondents equate AI with chatbots, and 46.5% of them do so. Most respondents rate their experience with AI as effective, that's 52%, and as to ease of use, being easy to use, 68%. So we can see the relationship here between the ability of AI to improve capability to learn, then to ease of access, ease of use, and then the use of forms of AI, such as the chatbots. On the question, which AI tools have you used in education? 47% of respondents are most familiar with chatbots as an AI tool. Relate this to the 67.9% of respondents feeling that a use of AI tools they are familiar with are very easy or easy to use. Respondents were asked to rate their satisfaction with the AI tools on a scale of 1 to 5. 60% of respondents rate either a 4 or 5. We relate this to most students using chatbots. On the question, how likely are you to recommend the use of AI to your peers? 57.8% of respondents would recommend. Then most respondents recommend using AI in the form of chatbots, 46.5% of them, adaptive learning, 35.2%, Automated grading, 24.6%, and for other forms, 29.4%. Most common of these responses for other AI tools point to Grammarly. On the question, which areas do you think AI can improve in education? 52.17% pointed out to curriculum design, 58.94% student assessment, 48.55% faculty support, and for other, 14.73%. On questions regarding transparency of AI and adequacy of information on AI, both data for these two questions suggest the need for students to know more what AI tools are used, how to use, the roles, tasks, and functions of AI that they are using. The transparency rating is only 3.6% out of 5, or 3.6. For adequacy of information, 57.45% said yes, and 35.34% said no. There was 7.21% who feel uncertain. On the ease of use of AI tools, 68% agree that AI tools are very easy or are easy to use. 26% say neither easy or difficult. 6% indicated that AI tools are difficult to use, meaning there's still a lot to work on when it comes to helping students use AI tools. On their perception of equitability and ease of use, 63% of participants were satisfied or very satisfied with the equitability and ease of use of AI tools. 31% were neutral, 3% dissatisfied, and 3% very dissatisfied. On the question, do you believe that AI tools are accessible to all students? 77% believe AI tools are accessible. 23% said no, which suggests that more access is needed. As to the benefits students experience from using AI in education, the question was open-ended, allowing them to provide their own words. And the three most common responses were as follows. Personalized learning, 45.7% of them identified personalized learning. 30.9% identified immediate feedback, and 25% for engagement. Perceptions on the fairness of AI grading systems. The general perception is that it's fair at 57%, 25% neutral, 16% believe that AI grading systems are unfair. 2% of the participants did not respond to the question. On to more open-ended questions. 1. What suggestions do you have for improving the equitable uses of AI in education? Most common responses include AI is perfect as is, suggestion, training, and instruction, eliminating AI, and then the definition of equity. So these are suggestions to make AI more equitable for learners. Then relate this to the question, what are your thoughts on the use of AI in education? Most common responses say that AI is as great as it is. There is a suggestion on eliminating AI, and then neutrality. AI is not good or bad. As to what challenges or difficulties do you usually encounter with the use of AI tools in education? Common responses include incorrect grammar, citations and references, no experience with AI, AI did not understand their question, AI provided incorrect information. As to what ethical concerns do you have about the use of AI in education? One, cheating. Next, lack of learning. No citations and references. And then the lack of guidance or guidelines on the use of AI. Here's the summary of student perceptions. RQ, research questions 2 and 3 reveal high positive student perceptions on accessibility, usage, ease of access, ease of use, and satisfaction in improving or enhancing learning activities, including outcomes. There's also a perception of fairness in the use of AI. For the negative response, 35.34 expressed concerns on transparency and inadequacy of information in AI tools used for learning. Responses on demographics reveal that majority were female, 66.59%. Ethnicity, there was diverse, with 52.16% white, 22.84% African American, 11.3% Latino. On economic status, 25% have below $30,000 a year versus mostly middle class, 36%, and upper middle class to upper class, 30%. Primary language used is English. That's more than 90% of the responses. Approved disability, around 20%. And education, around 60% have, or at least at college level, 30% high school level, 10% for other educational attainment. Now on to our conclusion and recommendations after I have presented to you all the findings. Amid some ethical concerns and inadequacy of information, perceptions of high accessibility, ease of use, satisfaction, and learning impacts are revealed in the findings. A push for more transparency, improve adequacy of information on Gen AI for learning, and increased measures to address ethical concerns must be had. Based on the outcomes of our study, a general framework on AI use is hereby recommended. This is to ensure equity that leads to equality. On the left-hand side are 3 sets of factors that could ensure stronger equity on AI use. First, equitable access, coherent systems, resources, and policies within the institution. Second, ensure digital and AI literacy and competency among faculty, students, and staff. Third, guidelines and support for students must be strengthened. That equity then will result. And these are now the references. For questions or comments on the perception study that I just presented, please email mmagabo@email.phoenix.edu. Thank you so much.